Welcome to an episode of Founder in the Chair. I'm your host, Veena, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with a truly inspiring leader in the legal industry. The founder and managing director of Kalra Legal Group, Anita has built a powerhouse legal firm known for its people-first approach, cutting through complexities to provide strategic and accessible legal solutions in employment law. As a founder in a traditionally male-dominated space, Anita has not only navigated challenges, but has redefined what leadership in law looks like. Her journey is one of resilience, innovation, and a commitment to making legal services more transparent and client-focused. So I can't wait to dive into her story, what motivates her, her challenges, and what it takes to really build a thriving legal business in today's world. So welcome, Anita.
Thank you, Veena. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for coming. So, male-dominated world.
It is, yeah. And I would say it's getting a lot better in the last 10 years, but it's predominantly managing directors, managing partners are still predominantly males in this industry. So I do think that the shift is being made, but there is still a long way to go in the entire industry itself.
So I know it's now changed, but when you first started, what was it like? Did they take you seriously, or was it like just neat as a woman?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because I when I reflected on this, and I reflected on it last year, I was at an International Women's Day event, and someone asked me that question, and I thought to myself, it was really difficult to start with, especially being a female founder of a legal business. Yeah, there were times where I did feel like I wasn't taken seriously, and I was quite young. I started 10 years ago, and at the start, I actually set up the business with my partner. And there'd be times where he's not come from the legal industry. He just set it up with me. But all the meetings I would run, so marketing meetings, meetings with building up the business. And actually there was one occasion during COVID when I was doing my website, the tech people behind the website that were building it and the founder of that business, unfortunately didn't take me seriously. And I will never forget that key event, because I found it really frustrating. And it was only until I had my partner join this Teams call, because it was during COVID, that things shaped up and they were happy to go and do things within a certain timescale. But that was like a key moment actually during running the business, where I felt I wasn't taken seriously. But the things I've done since then is I'll make sure that I read business values of other businesses if I'm going to engage in their services. But there have been times where I felt, okay, I haven't been taken seriously, or why is that not being done within that certain time scale? Why do I need my partner to join the call? And actually that Teams call, he didn't say anything. He just joined it.
He was just there.
He was just there because he was busy working for another company and as a consultant. So he said, I'll join, but I'll only be able to just join. So he was just there. It was just his presence. But that's so wrong in so many levels, in that I had to have the female director wasn't taken seriously, and the male director had to join the call. So
like, even in this day and age, that's only a few years ago, right?
That was just during COVID. So,
about 5 years ago.
Yeah, so...
And have things changed?
I would say things have definitely changed, but I think my mindset has also changed. So I will only now engage in services with other suppliers if I've read through their values. I will have a discovery call with them to understand that their values are aligned to mine. So that's really important to me now. Whereas maybe in the early days, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that how important that was to me. So I don't get myself in a situation where I'm upset, disappointed. I do make sure I do that. But I don't feel like the industry as a whole has massively changed. I've had to do that work, and I've had to go away and look at values for other businesses. And I'll go to the extent of looking at all their social handles to see if their values align to what they maybe put out onto the internet. But that's a really important piece for me. So if I work with somebody on a long-term basis, like the example of doing a new website, that can take quite a long time to do. And you have quite a lot of contact with developers and the website, the people building the website in the back end. But now I do quite a lot of work just to make sure that if I'm going to engage in any new services, their values are aligned to mine.
So interesting that. you're running the company, you're going to be the one paying them, and they still think it's okay to be like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've had experiences like that when I worked for Barclays, and it would be like, well, I was an assistant branch manager, and they'd be like, can you call the manager? And if the manager wasn't there, so it was going to be me, and they'd be like, I don't want to talk to you because I was a woman.
Yeah.
Until you open your mouth and they can tell you know what you're talking about, and then they take you seriously. So I get it. So you're in employment law.
I am, yeah.
What motivated you to specialise in employment law?
So when I was 16, I did some work experience for a criminal law practice.
Okay.
And then I did some work experience for a conveyancing firm. So I actually did quite a lot of work experience before I decided, okay, this is what I want to specialise in.
Right.
During university days, I did the elective. So you get to choose a number of key subjects that you may want to specialise in. And actually, I did employment law and I loved it.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I think now when I reflect back as well, it was most probably learning about discrimination, unfair dismissal, how that legislation works in the UK. That really did interest me. So I started working for a law firm, and they specialise in employment law, but they only represented employees. So people that have been unfairly dismissed, discriminated against in the workplace. And I loved that job. That was my kind of like first proper legal role. Yeah. And I really got stuck in. I really enjoyed it. I did really well in that role as well. And I decided to specialise afterwards. That I decided that I'm going to do employment law. That's my thing. That's my bag. I really enjoy it. I didn't so much enjoy criminal law. I found that quite difficult. It's quite easy to take things home and think about them afterwards. So criminal law, I think actually it would be too difficult for me to let go. Yes. I'd mostly think about cases 7 days a week, throughout the night. I'm not saying I don't do that now. At times I do, but I think the extent would be quite impactful. I think my dad wanted me to do conveyancing because my parents run a property business. But that was not, I didn't enjoy it. I'm sure lots of people really enjoy conveyancing, but for me, I think every single day is a different day. Every client's situation is different. And so I think that's what makes it really enjoyable, which is why I decided to specialise in that area,
So you said you worked for somebody, but then you set up your own practice. So what was that light bulb moment when you were like, I'm going to do this by myself?
So I was quite young. So I set up 10 years ago. And I've come from an entrepreneurial kind of family, which have always encouraged us to open up our own businesses in the future. But actually, I set up under quite traumatic circumstances. So I was working for a company and I just had my son. So he was 1 year old at the time when I went back to work after maternity leave. And my dad passed away from a heart attack. It was really sudden. It wasn't expected. And I went back to work and actually they wouldn't give me more than 2 weeks off. Right. So I needed more time. I needed to digest the information. I also had a really young baby. So there was a lot going on. I went back to work. I did what I needed to do at work and went back. But I decided that was the period of time where I thought, actually, I need to make this change. The change is up to me to make. So if I'm not happy about these circumstances, this might happen again. Not in the same circumstances, but life can be difficult and there can be things that happen in life traumatic. And actually, if you don't get the support from your employers and you don't get that time off, it can be even more difficult. So I said to myself during that period, okay, look, you can do this yourself. So I originally set out to be self-employed. So I left that workplace and became self-employed. And I just thought, right, I'll do a website. Why not? Let's do a website. Did a website and slowly we became really busy. So so I think I left that workplace. My dad passed away in December and I left in March. So, and I think I had like a fully launched website that summer and started getting quite busy, but I still was going to just be self-employed and just take on cases as and when I wanted to have that flexibility as well and to give myself that recovery time. But we became quite busy. I set up at home. So I was in my dining room. I had this huge dining room table, and I used that. And then I took on my first member of staff from home as well.
Yeah.
That was from home. So transformed this room, stuck 2 tables in there, and worked from home. And then actually a year after, I realised we were getting really busy. We were getting a lot of inquiries. And actually during that period, there was a lot more, I would say, unfair dismissals.
Right.
So we became quite busy quite quickly, and I ended up getting an office. So that was kind of like my journey to becoming a founder. But I always knew I'd set up my own business, but maybe not so early. I feel like I got pushed in one sense because of those circumstances. But I think it's what you make of it as well. For me, it was like, I can't have this happen to me again. I need to make a change.
And sometimes it's those difficult positions you're put in that pushes you to do something. And at the time you might be thinking, oh my God, it's so unfair. What is happening? And, you know, you're going through all those emotions as well. But it was probably the best thing that could have happened to you.
Yeah. I think it builds up your resilience. So I became really resilient because of it. Over years, when you run any type of business, you've got to be really resilient anyway. But I think it just built up my resilience. And I think if something happens to you in life that's traumatic and actually then you need to make a change, you can make that change. Whether you're in a job and you're not happy, there is light at the end of that tunnel. It's just finding that light and the right route and the support around you.
Yeah. Wow. So how many members of staff do you have now?
So we are still a small team. We're a boutique practice. We just do employment law and HR.
Okay.
We're just under 10.
Wow.
Half of that, just over half of that's legal. But yeah, so we're still a small practice. For me, it's always been that I don't want to be the biggest law firm. It's always been that the client, it's always about the client. So we have stayed small because of that. But I really enjoy what I do. And actually, I really would like to encourage more people to get into law because it's such a good profession to be in. Because, like I said, every case is different. Every day is a different day, which makes it really enjoyable.
So you said you'd like to encourage more people. So these days, you know, everyone thinks they're a little mini lawyer with AI.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? How does it impact your business?
Yeah. I think right now in the legal profession, there will be an impact, but I don't feel there's been a huge impact, but AI is playing a role. So we sometimes have, especially recently in the last 2 months, we've had clients come to us and say, oh, I've typed this into ChatGPT and this is what ChatGPT has said. And it's been incorrect.
Right.
And we've said to them, okay, that's incorrect. Or they've sent us a contract they've done via ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And it doesn't provide them the protections that they need.
Right.
So you've just got to be really cautious at the moment if you're using AI or ChatGPT or any platform similar to write legal documentation for you, that you still go and get it checked. But we have experienced that in the office where, you know, a client has said, I think recently we had a client that came to us and said, I've been offered a settlement agreement.
Yeah.
I've put the settlement agreement through ChatGPT and these are the amendments I need. And they weren't aligned to the advice we would give.
So they were telling you what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
ChatGPT said it.
So, and they weren't the amendments we would recommend. So you've just got to be really cautious. I'm sure in the future it will improve massively, and that area is developing on a really fast scale. But at the moment, I would say we've had it's impacted us, but it will eventually because of AI.
Yeah. So when you say you'd recommend somebody to go into law, so if there's somebody listening who's, I don't know, thinking of what to do at uni, any tips you would give?
Yeah, I would definitely firstly recommend to do as much work experience. I think that's really important. And I feel at the moment it's sometimes quite difficult because a lot of firms are remote now. But do as much work experience in different law firms. So a high street law firm, a city law firm, and different areas of law, because you'll soon realise what you enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I would do. And then try and get a placement in the summer. So in the summer break, I utilised my summer holidays really well. When I was younger, I actually did a placement. Every single year I worked for a law firm. Some of these placements were not paid, which is not allowed now, but they weren't paid. But I just made sure I utilised my time. And so I would do that. So you get in front of law firm owners, you get in front of legal offices, and actually they might offer you a role in the future from you just going there every summer. That happened to me. I went to one law firm every single summer and they offered me a full-time role. I didn't take it up. I actually worked somewhere else afterwards, but I had that opportunity there once I finished my degree. So that's what I would recommend. There are alternative routes as well now. You don't have to. You can do an alternative route to qualify, and there's something called the SQE as well, which is all work experience based.
Right.
So the alternative route, you don't have to do the traditional route.
So were those options available to you when you were?
No, I don't think they were.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure, but the SQE is new. I think there was a site, that's something called the Silex at the time, which I think still exists. But the traditional route then that you encourage, especially at school and university, was to do the law degree, do the LPC, and then go and get a training contract. It's still quite difficult, though, I would say, for law graduates to get a training contract or to get legal work. That part of the industry is still quite difficult. But I would say ever since I've set up, majority of my paralegals have been graduates. I make it really paramount in my team that I'm happy to take on a newly qualified graduate from university, and we will give them the experience, because I know there's a really big gap from when you leave university. You get turned away, you get told, okay, we can't give you a job because you don't have any experience. And you think to yourself, okay, until I actually work for a law firm, I won't get any experience.
I know.
So actually, majority of my team in the last 10 years that have been paralegal positions have been graduates, and I'll train them throughout the journey. So at the moment, I think I've got 2 solicitors that started with me as paralegals, and then became trainees and then solicitors. I've got 2 trainees with me at the moment that started as paralegals and then trainees. So I do really encourage it in the firm. I would hope that other law firms also encourage that a little bit further, because otherwise the access into the legal profession once you leave university can be quite difficult.
And it's true, like most jobs, we need you to have some experience. Well, how do you get the experience if no one's going to give you a chance? It's so nice to hear that you do that. How do you balance a busy law firm and your home life?
Well, that's quite difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's a difficult and it's in progress. So I wouldn't say I'm there, but I do a lot of things during the week. So on a Sunday, I set up my 10 objectives for the week, my key rocks.
Okay.
And I divide them by days. So I'll set out my rocks for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I also align my diary with my partner. So we spend an hour every Sunday where I align my diary for the week. He aligns his. We both run separate businesses. And then we look at what we're doing with the children for the week as well. So that really helps me. I also have a default diary for home. So I know a lot of founders and owners of businesses have a default diary for work, but I have it for my home life.
Right.
So I know which days are the days I'm going to go to, say, the spa. I'm not going to say the gym, because I hardly ever go to the gym, but if I'm going to go to a class, like a Pilates class, it's in my diary in advance, and my diary looks the same every week. So that helps me prioritize. It helps me get in those big rocks as well. That's my key way of managing my 7 days a week. So then I make sure I've got set times with my children, so that I'm really present with them as well. But also, I also have set times with my team. So like my team days are Monday. Everybody in my family knows, Anita's going to be in the office on a Monday. That's my team day. It's my day to catch up. That's helped me to stay focused, but also be really present. So I'm really present then with my team. I'm really present with my children. But I don't think there is ever a week where you have balance. I think for me, I've learned to accept that there are going to be some weeks that are going to be busy in the office. And there's going to be some weeks where I'm needed more at home. I'm needed more with the children. So I don't feel personally, for me, it's like 50-50 balance on a weekly basis. I just have to prioritize, but also everybody around me understands that, okay, Anita's going to be really busy. She's got a case next week. She's going to be really busy at work next week. So I would say I have that understanding at home, but it is planning. I feel like I have to really plan really well to stay on top of it all.
So a Sunday's your planning day.
Sunday's my planning day, yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it's really important, things that I'm not good at, I outsource. So I don't put out that actually I can do everything. You know, I have a cleaner that comes to help me. I don't try and take on everything because I think that's unachievable.
Yeah.
So anything that I feel like I'm not very good at, I make sure I do also just outsource and give to somebody else because they'll do a better job than me as well.
And that's so important because sometimes we just take it all on thinking, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it somehow. And we're really bad as women at doing that as well.
And then you get flustered or you feel like, oh, I've taken on too much this week. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you want to beat yourself up about it.
Yeah.
Looking back at your journey, what's the most valuable lesson you've learned?
The most valuable lesson, I would say it is accepting that actually there are going to be months or weeks where you've got to give more to your business. And that's a lesson I've had to learn because for quite a long time I would have mum guilt quite a lot. And actually, there is no way I can have 50-50 every week. Yeah. I've had to learn to accept that. Whereas there are going to be some weeks, especially in the summer holidays, where I'm going to be with my children a lot more. Yeah. So I've got to put things in place where the business is running without me for that period of time. Yeah. But it took me quite a long time to accept that. Yeah. I would have mum guilt quite a lot, even though I most probably do most of the responsibilities for the children. I still had that mum guilt. So that's something I would say I've learned over time. Might have taken me 10 years, but I've got there.
It's really fun. A lot of women have mum guilt, and I did speak to another lawyer a couple of weeks ago, and she was the same. Like, she's got young children, 2 young children, and she has to work once they go to bed sometimes. And you know, like, we look at her and we think, God, you're always working. Like, how do you do it? Yeah. Mum guilt's a real thing.
Mum guilt, yeah, definitely. And I think it's I think unfortunately a lot of women carry that, but I think it's just really important for everybody around you as well to know that this week or this month you're going to be busy, focusing on your business or whatever you might be doing at work, and there are going to be times where you're needed more at home, and that's okay.
Do you ever get friends or family and be like, oh, God, Anita's always working?
I wouldn't say that. I think they will say to me sometimes, I don't know how you do it all. Which is lovely, really nice compliment. Or they'll come to my house and they'll say, oh, I don't know how you keep it all clean. Yeah. And that's a really lovely compliment. But there is a lot that I have to do behind the scenes to make sure that ship is running well. Yeah. So I do get those really nice compliments, but I would definitely say I do a lot of work. You know, I plan my month in advance. I plan my quarter in advance. Wow. I do a yearly alignment session with my partner every January. We align our goals for the year. So neither of us are upset. Neither of us are, well, I didn't know you were going to do that. It's very much, these are my goals for the year. This is what we're going to set out to do. And so he understands. I also understand his goals. So I can also support him. So I do think there's a lot of work, but sometimes people don't see that work that you're doing, the time that you're spending.
So once you've done your goal setting, do you then like do regular checkups to make sure you're on track?
100%, yeah. So I mostly didn't do that at the start. When I first founded the business, I didn't do that. But I definitely have been doing that for the last mostly 6 years. So every December I spend quite a lot of time deciding what I want to do for the next year, and actually we present it. So we present it to each other on a presentation. Brilliant. Present it to my children, which I think is really important for them to know what mum and dad are both doing. Yeah. So I present it to them as well. Hopefully inspire them when they're older as well to do something similar. So I'll do a presentation. So I set myself 3 personal goals, 3 professional goals, and 3 business goals. And then with my business goals, I go through those with my team. So start of January, I did a strategy day with my team, went through the goals so that they're aligned and also that they're on the journey with me. So them, you know, it's really important they are on that journey. And if they felt that actually that goal Anita's aligned is not right, that's that's their time to speak up and say, actually, I think you need to change it. Next week, I'm meeting with my team again and we're doing the same exercise. So we will then review what we've done in the last 3 months and also celebrate. So I think just as important is to celebrate those wins. Sometimes we think we need to celebrate at the end of the year, but actually we need to be celebrating monthly and every quarter. So next week I'll do that with my team, and then to reward myself, I then go away with my children. So I do try to make sure there's the rewards every 3 months, but also the rewards are there for my team as well.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah, they're helping run that ship. So
of course. And they've got to be recognised. How do you motivate your team? So let's say somebody in your team's not pulling their weight, or they're not aligning to what you want to do. How do you then deal with that? How do you deal with that team member?
I would say I've been really lucky personally. I would say that my team are amazing. I have an amazing team. I have amazing support around me. From the moment that I recruit, I would say that actually that new team member understands our values and ethos. I'll be honest, sometimes I miss it. I might not miss that I've taken on somebody that maybe is not aligned to the business, but my team will pick that up really quickly.
Okay.
And but in terms of motivation, we meet every single week, and we have it's more like a team day. So we make sure every Monday is our team day, and we then align our diaries, align what's going on for the week, discuss cases. We go for lunch most Mondays. I really feel that helps motivation. But ultimately, because we are in a legal career, there can be weeks or months where it's really busy. There could be one team member working on a big case for a couple of months. So that's why we make sure that we do a leadership day every quarter to bring everybody together, and then we reflect back on the wins and things that maybe didn't go as well that we could develop on, which I feel helps with motivation. Yeah.
That's so good, because sometimes you called yourself a boutique company, like a smaller company, big company, but sometimes it's forgotten.
Yeah.
And then if you don't, and sometimes it's a matter of you might just not know what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
It's having that communication, because if someone's not performing, it might just be something's going on at home.
Yeah. I would say that we have really good transparency in our office. I know that some companies struggle with that, but we are really transparent with each other. And so am I. You know, if I say, say, for example, I'm having a difficult week or something's going on at home, I'm quite transparent with my team, and I think that's helped the transparency as well on the other side, where they're far more transparent with me. But at the end of the day, we're just people, so and we're dealing with people's issues as well. So it can be that there are times where somebody's maybe feeling slightly overwhelmed, or they might be having a busy home life, and that's really understandable. So actually in that period of time where I feel like maybe somebody is maybe lacking motivation, it's most probably because of something else. And I'll just make sure that they don't have as much work on that week, so they have that recovery period, because normally it's because of maybe something going on at home, or they've just had a really busy month and they're tired. Sometimes I'll say to a member of my team, when have you got your next holiday booked? Get it booked into the diary, because I know they need to take a holiday, but they might just need that encouragement to get it booked in.
I like that, because sometimes as leaders, you know, you might think, oh, I can't tell them I've got a problem.
Yeah.
And you said there's transparency. So I really like that, and that's really nice. What's your best business advice you've ever received?
I would say a little bit with the analogy of the kind of the big rocks, the stone and the sand. And someone said this to me a couple of years ago. I was at a growth coaching event, and the growth coach said, make sure you focus on the rocks. And I'll be honest, in the early stages, I would focus on everything. I'd be doing everything. And I most probably didn't understand what the big rocks were. And sometimes that can still happen. You write your kind of 10 top tasks for the week, and some of those items are really low value, but you want to do them. So you put them on that task sheet. But for me, I think my most valuable advice would be to focus on the rocks. Try as much as possible to focus on those big key things, and don't worry about the sand so much. Just focus on the big rocks and then the smaller rocks. I think if someone had told me that in the beginning, I most probably wouldn't have done everything. And then I think from that, you'll understand what are the low value tasks and outsource all of those.
Yes.
Because they're not worth you doing yourself. somebody has to do them, but they're most probably not going to be worth your time because you need to focus on the big things. And there's only so much time in a day and in a week, and we forget that. So that would be my most valuable advice, is to focus on the big things, get those big things done, and then reward yourself at the end of the month that you've done.
That's really
them.
important.
Go and do a spa day, whatever it might be.
So your list of 10 things, it's in order of priority.
And in order of days. So I put them in order of days that I need to do it on this day. I use an app that's quite cool. It's called
I was just going to say, do you do this with an app or a planner?
I do. It's a really easy app. It's called To-Do List.
Oh,
it's an amazing app, and it just syncs it to your Outlook.
Okay.
I do it on a Sunday. My team also do it, but they do it on a Friday. So I say to them, before you log off for the weekend, write your top 10 tasks. Don't think about them over the weekend. Write them down. And we have like a Teams chat, and they just throw them in the Teams chat before they log off. Because I don't want them to be thinking about it over the weekend. That's their time to recover, restore for the following Monday. I do mine on a Sunday, though. I feel like I make space for myself on a Sunday to be able to think about my top 10, but I put it in a to-do list, and then you tick it off. Everybody loves to tick something off, but it then shows you what you didn't do. And then I score myself. I go to another level. I score myself every week. So I might say 80% was done or 70%.
Okay.
And then at the end of the month, I review my own scores.
Right. And does this app do that for you? The scores?
No, it doesn't do the scores, but I have like a book and I write them down. So I set myself 10 key things, but they're set from, I set myself 10 big tasks at the start of a quarter, and they are aligned every week to those big 10 things.
Right.
So I call them game changers, 10 big game changers every quarter. And in each game changer, then I will break it down to smaller tasks, which I then put in my weekly diary. So that end of the quarter, I feel like, okay, that big thing I've done, because I set it up to smaller objectives. Otherwise things can be really overwhelming. Like for example, I've got a new website coming out, and I thought, oh my god, how am I going to do this in a quarter? I don't have time. It's only 3 months, but I set myself small objectives, which means it's far more bite-sized, and you're far more likely to do it. But there, of course, there are times where I'm like, I didn't get that done. It was just that was too much for me to do within 3 months.
And that's okay.
And that's okay, exactly. That's okay. But maybe I set myself out to fail originally by even including it. So, but it's a learning journey, and then you realise actually that was too much.
I like that. So it's called To-Do List.
To-do list. Download it today after you leave. It's really, I just happened to download it. I was like, there must be an easier way of doing this. But I like it because it syncs with your diary. So it puts, if you just put Monday, it'll throw it in on Monday. So you can't forget it's in your diary on a Monday. So, but it's a good little app to use.
I like that. Everyone, like you said, everyone likes to tick things off. So as a law firm, you're quite active on social media as well, and that's not something we see a lot for your type of industry. Any tips for why you do it? Law firms should do it, or which is your main platform? Is it LinkedIn? Do you go on TikTok, Instagram? What would you say?
So we are on all platforms. We are a digital law firm, so it's been really important for us. I've always been digital, very much online presence. We are not a high street law firm. We are, majority of our clients don't come to see us. Right. It's all on Teams and via email, phone call. So we are suited towards that clientele. So it's even more important that we're online. We do post. We most probably could post more, admittedly, but we do. We post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I would say we've posted a couple of videos on YouTube and TikTok, which has been really good for us, actually, because if you're looking for advice and you don't know what to do at the first stage, if you need to raise a grievance in the workplace, but you don't know what to do, you can go onto YouTube and watch videos. So actually uploading videos on YouTube is a really good place because it's educational content. Right. But I would say it's helped us. Majority of our inquiries come through online, 80%, and then the remainder is word of mouth or repeat work.
That's so interesting. Yeah. And do you make a conscious effort to record content, make content, get it out there? Do you have a team that does that for you?
I'd love to say I do, but we don't. Okay. So we do it very much in-house.
Okay.
Something that we're working on this year I would say that we've been quite lucky in that organically we get a lot of inquiries just from our website. So we've not really needed to. But it's what we're working on at the moment. We do have like a content calendar that we use, and we have somebody that does the marketing side, but we don't have a team, and that's definitely for this year one of our objectives is to put more educational content out there, because actually I appreciate if you're a business owner and you're setting up and you think, okay, what do I need? What are the kind of the initial things like contracts, handbooks? What do I need for my business to stay compliant? It'd be good to have more educational videos out there so that new business owners understand their requirements. Or if you're a large business owner in hospitality, so for example in October hospitality trunk and service charges changed, that 100% have to go to the employees, so that was quite a big change for hospitality. So actually having more educational content would be good, because we have all of this education, we know of this content, but sometimes we're not great at recording it. But that's something that we're definitely going to work on, because I know that's content people would like to watch as well.
And that's probably going to convert to business, because people buy people. If they heard you talking about it, they'll be like, oh, we'll go and ask her. We'll use her services, we'll use that company. I think admittedly as well in the legal profession what happens is that we go through bouts in the year where we're really busy on cases, and then we don't prioritise the marketing because we are servicing a client, we're really involved, and then we don't have that time, or we don't make that time available, or we think to ourselves, okay, now I'm going to have to get dressed up, do my makeup, do my hair, make sure I'm delivering great content, whereas your mindset's not there. Your mindset is working on a case. And you have to have that mindset shift. So I think when you are recording content, you feel like you need to have half a day where you allow yourself that time. But I definitely think it's important. I think that the legal industry is changing. Lots more people are recording educational content now than ever before, which is helping those people that maybe don't have access to advice or can't afford legal advice. It's really important for them as well to be able to watch a video on YouTube or TikTok. And some stages of a legal process you can do yourself, but actually if you don't have the education behind it, you don't know what to do, then it can be quite difficult. I like that. So I do look at your social media and I think, oh, do you know, it's nice to see a law firm doing it, because like you said, it's not the traditional thing to do, but it's good. I mean, even something like, if I was watching you, I'd be like, oh, I've been watching, she's giving all this educational content. If you suddenly did, a day in the life of Anita, people just love to see, whether it's being nosy or just want to see, okay, so she's, I don't know, doing a shopping run or something. She does have a life outside the company. I mean, it's
we'll watch
amazing.
a space, never know, I might have a video. I tried to record one a couple of weeks ago and then I gave up. I realised how difficult it is to record yourself. But we have lives outside of work, and we are doing other things outside of we're not just stuck behind our legal desk, whereas sometimes it does feel like that, admittedly, but we do have a life outside of work as well.
And sometimes I think for somebody who's scared to go and approach a lawyer, it just makes you a little bit more relatable. Anita has children too, or she's going to do a Pilates class. Okay, we will be looking out for your content. And on that note, if you'd love to just tell that camera your website, your handles, how to get hold of you.
Sure. So our website is www.klglaw.co.uk. If you need any employment law advice, or if you're an employee or an employer, you can also contact us by email by info@klglaw.co.uk, and you can also find all of our details on our website. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Founder in the Chair. So to find all of Anita's details, they will be tagged down below as well. Please do follow, like, share and subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. Thank you.